President Benjamin sparred with Mike, the steadfast leader of the Presidential Protection Division and a former Army Ranger, at Camp David. The president's wife, Margaret, and their son, Connor, were nearby, preparing for an upcoming charity event. Mike, more than just an agent, was a trusted friend to the family, attending to every detail with precision and care. As the family headed out for the event, a snowstorm began blanketing the area. The convoy split, with Benjamin and Margaret in the limousine, while Connor rode with Mike in an SUV. The storm turned treacherous when a fallen branch caused the lead security vehicle to skid on the icy road, blocking the path. The chaos triggered a series of accidents. A Secret Service SUV plummeted off a bridge, and the limousine dangled perilously on the edge. Margaret was knocked unconscious, her head slamming against the window. Mike acted swiftly, organizing the team to weigh down the car and stabilize it. Rushing to the limousine, he found Margaret's seatbelt stuck. The other door refused to budge. Benjamin, unwilling to leave without his wife, held her close even as the car creaked under the strain. In a desperate bid to save the president's life, Mike cut Benjamin's seatbelt and dragged him out just as the vehicle plunged into the icy depths below, killing Margaret and the driver. 18 months later, the events of that night haunted Mike. Racked with guilt, he withdrew from friends and family, frustrating his wife. Reassigned to the Treasury Department, he could no longer protect the president directly. Director Lin of the Secret Service assured him that Benjamin didn't blame him but admitted his presence was a painful reminder of Margaret's death. Benjamin, meanwhile, faced escalating tensions between North and South Korea. Determined to avoid a war, he agreed to meet South Korean Prime Minister Lee at the White House. Extra security surrounded the building as Lee arrived with his delegation, including Dave, a former U.S. secret agent. Elsewhere, a large gunship was spotted near North Virginia, refusing to land despite orders. When two fighter jets approached, the gunship retaliated, shooting them down and causing devastation as the jets crashed into civilian homes. The aircraft then set course for Washington, D.C. Alarms blared as Benjamin and Lee were rushed to a bunker. Visitors and staff were evacuated from the White House, and armed guards took their positions as rooftop turrets deployed. The gunship reached the city, unleashing a torrent of firepower that left thousands dead. Police and soldiers fired back in vain, unable to penetrate the gunship's advanced defense systems. Mike, watching the chaos unfold from his office, stayed behind to help civilians escape as the streets descended into flames and panic. Above the White House, the gunship eliminated the rooftop guards within seconds. An American jet arrived just in time, firing a powerful missile that bypassed the gunship's defenses. The aircraft caught fire and crashed into the Washington Monument, shattering it into deadly fragments that killed civilians below. As the chaos subsided, Mike approached the White House, surveying the destruction. Suddenly, a bus exploded, triggering a chain reaction of car blasts. Amid the panic, Mike spotted two suspicious Korean men near the gate. He shot one, but the other detonated explosives, creating a breach in the perimeter. A wave of North Korean terrorists, who had infiltrated Lee's delegation, revealed themselves and launched an all-out assault. Gas grenades filled the air as rocket launchers obliterated the front security lines. Secret Service agents and attack dogs fought valiantly but were overwhelmed. Mike joined the fray, taking down attackers as the battle intensified. A sniper began picking off officers with deadly precision until Mike neutralized her with a headshot. Inside the bunker, the situation took a dark turn. Dave revealed his betrayal, killing his former colleagues as Lee's men joined the terrorists. The Koreans quickly overpowered the president's staff. Benjamin was beaten and choked by Kong, the terrorist leader, who demanded compliance. Outside, two trucks carrying reinforcements and heavy weaponry arrived, pursued by police. As Mike tried to sneak inside, he witnessed a brutal ambush. The attackers unleashed gunfire from the trucks, mowing down most of the remaining agents and officers. The survivors retreated into the White House, but the Koreans blasted through the doors with another missile. Mike rushed in, narrowly avoiding death as he watched his comrades fall one by one. With no time to grieve, he hid as the terrorists took over. Another truck arrived, bringing a cache of weapons to secure their position. In the bunker, a Korean hacker initiated a lockdown, sealing the White House from external contact. Gunfights erupted in every corridor as the terrorists hunted down the remaining guards. The Pentagon, realizing the gravity of the situation, lost all contact with the Secret Service and confirmed the White House had fallen. The military quickly surrounds the White House, its imposing structure now a fortress under lockdown. Reporters flood the area, broadcasting the crisis and igniting panic across the nation. Tensions peak when the Pentagon receives a chilling video call from the White House bunker. On the screen, they witness the brutal execution of Lee, a grim display orchestrated by Kong. The terrorists escalate their threats, warning they'll kill Benjamin next unless the soldiers stand down. Faced with no alternatives, the Pentagon complies. As the call ends, Dave orders Benjamin to raise his hands. When Benjamin refuses, a staff member is executed on the spot, forcing Benjamin to cooperate. His hands are tied to a railing as the terrorists replace the American flag on the roof with their own and deploy a drone, symbolizing their total control. Meanwhile, Mike stealthily navigates the bloodied corridors, the remains of his former co-workers haunting every step. In the dim light, Mike bursts into the control room and savagely eliminates a Korean guard, stabbing him repeatedly. Rage consumes him as he finds a picture of Connor among the enemy's possessions. Using a confidential password, Mike accesses a safe and retrieves a device, connecting it to the computer. A thumbprint scan activates a special protocol, shutting down the terrorist system and locking out the hacker. In the bunker, Kong reveals to Benjamin that his true goal isn't the nuclear codes, but ending the civil war tearing apart his homeland. He wants to free the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Dave supports Kang's mission, prompting Benjamin to retaliate by headbutting him. Kong halts any further conflict and reminds his men of their priority, locating Connor. Mike reaches the Oval Office, where he uses his password to open a hidden safe containing an emergency phone. He contacts the Pentagon, where Speaker of the House Allen assumes the role of acting president. Skepticism about Mike's reliability arises, but Lynn defends him, declaring him their only hope. Relaying details about guards, explosives, and the lockdown, Mike insists the Pentagon must rely on him to resolve the situation. Their conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of a terrorist. Mike leaps into action, engaging in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. After exchanging a barrage of punches, Mike ends the fight by smashing the terrorist's head with a Lincoln statue. Meanwhile, Kong calls the Pentagon again, making demands: the recall of the 7th Fleet from the Sea of Japan, the withdrawal of U.S. troops from the demilitarized zone, and a helicopter for extraction. If the U.S. government doesn't comply, Kong promises to kill Benjamin and the remaining staff. As the Pentagon debates the impossible choice, Lynn clashes with the military. Saving the president and his son could destabilize South Korea, leaving it vulnerable in mere hours. The new president tries to buy time by reaching out to other nations for assistance. In the bunker, Kong tortures the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, forcing him to reveal his Cerberus code. With one of 3 codes secured, the terrorists inch closer to controlling the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Mike, piecing together the terrorists' plan, finds a tattoo on the body of a fallen enemy and sends its image to the Pentagon. Allen and Lynn confirm their systems show the first Cerberus code has been activated. The only way to stop the detonation process is by manually changing the codes on the bunker's computer. Mike realizes the terrorists need Connor to leverage Benjamin's code. Allen orders Mike to find and protect the boy. Despite the lockdown, the hacker accesses old security footage, tracking Mike's movements. Kong dispatches his men to hunt him down. Mike, now in the president's bedroom, hears noises from the walls. As terrorists storm the room, Mike vanishes into a secret passage where he discovers Connor hiding. Relaying their location to the Pentagon, Mike prepares for their escape. Kong, aware of the White House's secret passages, orders his men to open fire. Bullets rip through the walls as Mike shields Connor, returning fire and taking down a terrorist. The passage leads them to another room, where Mike clears the area before guiding Connor to the basement. Removing a lid, he sends Connor down a shaft, alerting the Pentagon to guard the exit. A Korean terrorist follows them into the basement, but Mike ambushes him, killing him in a silent chokehold. Connor emerges through an unguarded vent hidden in the garden and is swiftly rescued by 2 American soldiers. With Connor safe, the Pentagon instructs Mike to focus on saving the president. Allen reassures the public on live television, urging them to remain calm. In the White House hallways, Mike ambushes 2 terrorists, engaging in another fierce fight. After subduing and tying them up, he demands information. When they mock him, Mike kills one and wounds the other to extract answers. The surviving terrorist reveals Kang's identity and his affiliation with the paramilitary group Koreans for United Freedom. He also discloses that 40 commandos breached the White House and 28 remain. Mike shares this intel with the Pentagon. The military identifies Kong as a notorious terrorist, his motives rooted in personal tragedy. Kang's father was executed for crimes against North Korea, and his mother was killed by an American landmine. His hatred for both nations fueled his plan, including the bombing of the British embassy in Seoul. While some at the Pentagon push for an immediate assault, Lynn reminds them the White House's tight lockdown renders such action futile. Mike agrees to go on recon and convinces the group to let him scout ahead. Meanwhile, the terrorists continue their sinister plans, embedding explosives into the walls of the White House. Mike moves through the shadowy hallways, staying vigilant, when suddenly, the speakers in the hallway echoes with Kang's taunting voice. Kong mocks him for failing Margaret and accuses him of repeating the same mistake with Benjamin. Mike, keeping his composure, mentions he has rescued Connor. Kong, unfazed, threatens to harm Mike's wife, leaving him no choice but to hang up. Undeterred, Kong dispatches Dave to eliminate him. Kang's ruthlessness escalates as he begins savagely beating the Secretary of Defense, trying to force her to reveal her security code. Despite her refusal, Benjamin, unable to bear the brutality, orders her to comply, assuring her that the terrorists won't get the final code from him. Reluctantly, she divulges the number, allowing the terrorists to input it into their system, an act immediately flagged by the Pentagon. While Dave continues his search, he's startled by a shadowy figure. Mike slams him against the wall but stops when he realizes it's Dave. Unaware of Dave's betrayal, Mike initially trusts him until Dave inadvertently mentions Kang's name, information he shouldn't have. Suspicious, Mike confronts Dave, who quickly resorts to violence, initiating a brutal fight. The two men grapple, exchanging blows and wrestling for control. Dave temporarily disarms Mike and attempts to stab him with a knife, but Mike's superior strength and agility turn the tables. Using Dave's own weapon against him, Mike fatally stabs him. In his final moments, Dave confesses his misguided loyalty to Kang. Offering redemption, Mike helps him stage a ruse, allowing Dave to call Kang and report that Mike is dead before succumbing to his injuries. Time is running out, and Alan informs Mike that they're running out of options to stop the impending nuclear attack. The military scrambles aircraft for an aerial assault. As Mike sneaks into the cargo room, he discovers the terrorist's ace in the hole, Hydra 6, an advanced American weapon now in enemy hands. Before Mike can act, the terrorists enter, forcing him into a deadly shootout. Despite his efforts, Hydra 6 is deployed, targeting and destroying an American helicopter. Chaos erupts as other aircraft attempt evasive maneuvers, but they are outmatched. The White House roof becomes a war zone, with soldiers falling from the sky as the terrorists intensify their counterattack. In the midst of the carnage, Mike takes down the remaining guards and secures a rocket launcher. Making his way to the roof, he fires a rocket at Hydra 6, successfully destroying it. The explosion, however, causes the roof to collapse, sending Mike plummeting through a hole as the last helicopter crashes, resulting in a massive blast that severely damages the White House. Amid the devastation, Kang executes the vice president as retribution for the aerial assault and threatens Benjamin's life, giving the Pentagon a dire ultimatum: comply within 60 minutes or face more deaths. Alan, conflicted, prepares to recall the troops, but Mike convinces him to hold off, promising to end this nightmare within 30 minutes. After reassuring his wife that he's alive, Mike boldly calls Kang, warning him of his imminent downfall before disabling the bunker's communication systems. Enraged, Kang drags the Secretary of Defense to the White House lawn, intending to execute her on live television. Hidden in the shadows, Mike seizes the opportunity, taking out one of the terrorists with a sniper shot. The commotion allows the secretary to escape and reach the safety of the army while Mike continues his assault, expertly dispatching the terrorists with precision shots. Kang retreats to the bunker, leaving the Pentagon to fear the worst. The terrorists, disguised as hostages, attempt to escape in a helicopter, but their plan backfires spectacularly when the aircraft explodes mid-air. The Pentagon mourns the presumed death of the president, but Mike, analyzing the situation, realizes something doesn't add up. His suspicions prove correct when he discovers Kang still in the bunker, holding Benjamin hostage as leverage. Inside, the terrorists activate Cerberus, initiating a countdown for the nuclear warheads to detonate in their silos. Kang detonates the explosives planted earlier, creating an escape route, but Mike intercepts them. In a fierce ambush, he eliminates 2 terrorists and brutally takes down a third. Benjamin seizes the moment to confront Kang, resulting in a struggle for his gun. A shot rings out, and Benjamin collapses with a stomach wound. Consumed by rage, Mike tackles Kang, pummeling him mercilessly. Kang, desperate, arms himself with dual knives, but Mike skillfully disarms him, countering every attack with precision. With the clock ticking and mere minutes left, the two engage in a savage battle. Kang gains the upper hand momentarily, choking Mike against a wall, but his distraction proves fatal. Seizing the opportunity, Mike breaks Kang's arm, grabs a knife, and delivers the final, fatal blow. With Kang neutralized, Mike rushes to the computer, following Pentagon instructions to deactivate Cerberus, stopping the countdown with seconds to spare. As dawn breaks, Mike and Benjamin emerge from the wreckage. Connor reunites tearfully with his father, and Mike embraces his wife. Though the White House lies in ruins, the American flag rises again, symbolizing resilience. Mike, hailed a hero, is reinstated as head of presidential security, cementing his place as the nation's protector. What a roller coaster of action and heroism. Mike Banning's relentless bravery and unstoppable grit saved the day against impossible odds. The White House may be in ruins, but the American spirit stands tall. Want more heart-pounding recaps like this? Hit that subscribe button and join us at Movies Unboxed for your next adrenaline-packed adventure.